their seats, silence all cell phones and devices. I will call the sixth meeting of the House Standing Committee on Banking and Insurance to order. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative All, Representative Bentley, Representative Bray, Representative Duval,
Here.
Representative Fraser Gordon, Representative Gooch, Representative Justice,
Yes.
Representative Lewis,
Here.
Representative McPherson,
Here.
Representative Rorix,
Here.
Representative Roberts, Representative Rudy, Representative Smith, Representative Stevenson, Vice Chair Lockett,
Here.
Vice Chair Pollock,
Here.
Chairman Meredith.
Yes, ma'am. We do have a quorum and are duly constituted to do business. Do any members have guests in the audience they'd like to introduce? Representative Justice?
This is my intern for the day, and she's also my niece. Her name is Ariana Day, and she's a sophomore at the University of Pikeville. She's interested in law, so we're going to try to talk her out of that if we can.
Ariana, good to have you with us today. Any other members with guests? Seeing none, we'll move into the agenda. I will go out of order, as I tend to do. We will start with House Bill 578, Representative Steve Bratcher. If you will come forward, bring the folks who are going to testify with you. I think there are 2 or 3 here that are going to. All of you all, please introduce yourselves for the record, and then you can proceed with your testimony.
Representative Steve Bratcher, 25th District.
Tim Shank, Kentucky Bankers Association.
Brad Chambliss, former president of the Kentucky Mortgage Brokers Association and with Revolution Mortgage.
Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Committee. This House Bill 578 is basically, can be called different things, but trigger leads is kind of what is known in the banking industry for it, but it's also a privacy bill. And what this does is when you go and you file a bill, or you go and, I'm sorry, not file a bill, but when you go and you apply for a loan, then your information is sold by TransUnion or Transperian and some of these other third parties to other people, and you start getting inundated with phone calls, emails, and other ways of people to try to entice you to get a loan through them.
Motion on the bill.
We do have a sub. Vice Chair Lockett, I got a motion on the sub from you. Do I have a second on the sub? Second. Representative McPherson. The sub was language that we used just to tighten up to make sure that the credit bureaus could not coerce a bank or the borrower into giving that, so that they could force basically them to give consent for the selling of their data in this process. And that's the only difference. It just tightens that language up some. I've got a motion and a second on the sub. Do I have questions on the sub? Seeing none, all in favor of adopting the sub, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The sub is adopted and before us.
Thank you, Chair.
Motion on the bill is amended by the sub.
I've got a motion from Representative Fraser Gordon. I've got a second from Representative Lockett. I do have some questions, though. We'll start with Representative All.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would this apply? So I recently moved a couple of years ago and got a new mortgage, and then all of a sudden I was getting these solicitations for mortgage protection and, all these different insurance things, and they made it appear with those letters and those files that it was from the bank, but it was not in fact from the bank. You had to read the fine print. It was from somebody else. Would this kind of stop and preclude some of that activity?
Representative All, I'll take that one.
Okay.
That's House Bill 88 that we've already passed out.
Yeah, that
of
was
the House
another House bill.
and has gone over to the Senate now, was passed out of committee yesterday over there. This is a little different. And I may let, if you all don't mind for just a second, let Tim and is it Brad or Ron? Brad tell you a little bit more in detail of how this is working.
That'd be great.
And I'd be happy to too, but they're here before us to do that.
Go ahead, Brad. No, it's yours. Okay. Well, this is something that we deal with every day in the lending industry, and it's almost an abusive practice to the consumer because, like you said, when you did your application, your phone started blowing up. We had one just last week that had 65 phone calls. And a lot of time they call under the context that they're with the current lender, and they try to get them to go down the loan process at that time, which can do a lot of damage, especially when you're working with your least educated consumer on the mortgage loan. So that's the triggered leads is exactly that. Now, what you were talking about, I guess we don't need to go into about the other, that they get that data from the courthouse when the deed is recorded, where a lot of those letters come from. But on this is specifically about when we pull a credit report, Experian, the other bureaus are taking that data and selling it to other lenders who are going and soliciting their business.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, members of the committee. I just wanted a brief short story here to share from yesterday, which they did not know this bill was up, but I received an email from Alex Cook, president of Hearthside Bank, and he was telling me that he had just applied for a refinance for his institution located in Middlesboro, and they had pulled his credit at 9:30. By 9:40, he had one call. By Friday, that was on a Tuesday, by Friday, he had received 51 calls, and he described the nature of these calls from third parties as harassing. He asked them to opt out. They would not allow them to opt out. He asked them for last names. They would not identify themselves. He said they were misleading as to rates and terms. And he said, quite frankly, it was scary to the amount of personal information they had based off of what they could pull from a credit report. And if that's happening to a bank president of a community bank within our state, I think that's exemplary for what a problem could be for a consumer within our state.
Chairman, just to let you know, there's 2 House resolutions or House bills that have been filed with the U.S. Congress as well, so that deal with the same issue. And this bill pretty much mirrors that. It might be a little more restrictive.
Any other questions from members of committee? Having a motion and a second, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative All,
Yes.
Representative Bentley, Representative Bray, Representative Duval,
Yes.
Representative Frazier Gordon, Representative Gooch, Representative Justice,
Yes.
Representative Lewis,
Yes.
Representative Lockett,
Yes.
Representative McPherson,
Yes.
Representative Pollock,
Yes.
Representative Rorix,
Yes.
Representative Roberts,
Yes, and please register my attendance. Thank you.
Representative Rudy, Representative Smith, Representative Stevenson, Chairman Meredith.
Yes. House Bill 578, as amended by the committee substitute, does pass with favorable expression. Same should on the House floor. Thank you all very much for being here and for your testimony.
Thank you, committee, and thank you, Chair.
Next on the list, we'll do Senate Bill 158. Senator Girdler, if you would come up, introduce yourself for the record, and let your guests introduce themselves as well. And we will then proceed.
Thank you, Chairman Meredith. This is I'm Rick Girdler, Senate District 15, and my driver will introduce himself here in just a second.
Chris Nolan with the Insurance Institute of Kentucky.
Basically, all this bill does, we had in the past, one of the House members put a bill in as far as minors having settlements, and we can't settle with them till we're 18 or till they're 18. And the banks didn't like the idea without a court order. And all this bill is basically doing, and I'll have my driver to correct me if I'm wrong, is this court order says that we don't have to have a court order, we can do it with an affidavit. And
Got a motion from Representative Pollock. I hear a second. Second, Representative McPherson. Any questions from members of the committee on this one? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative All,
Aye.
Representative Bentley, Representative Bray, Representative Duval,
Yes.
Representative Frazier Gordon, Representative Gooch, Representative Justice,
Yes.
Representative Lewis,
Yes.
Representative Lockett,
Yes.
Representative McPherson,
Yes, and could I explain my vote?
You may.
I'd like to vote for this because this fellow's at least my third or fourth, maybe fifth favorite senator.
I don't know who the other 3 or 4 are, but that's
Well, it changes daily.
all right, thank you.
Representative Pollock,
Yes.
Representative Rorix,
Yes.
Representative Roberts, Representative Rudy, Representative Smith, Representative Stevenson, Chairman Meredith.
Yes. Senate Bill 158 does pass with favorable expression. Same should on the House floor.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Senator.
sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, I'll call House Bill 470. Representative Duval, if you and your guests would come to the table, introduce yourselves for the record, then you may proceed with your testimony.
Representative Robert Duvall from District 17, Warren County.
Gus Herbert from Frost Brown Todd, and our client Ashurian supports this legislation.
Well, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to share this morning. I do have a sub, and I'll explain that here in just a moment. Let me get started by saying that House Bill 470 eliminates duplicate regulations and red tape that currently exist for companies that provide in-home service to customers that have purchased insurance service contracts. Currently, sales of insurance are exempt from the in-home sales statute in KRS. House Bill 470 would further exempt the sale of insurance service contracts and goods and services related to those products from the in-home sales statute. The committee sub to House Bill 470 further limits these exemptions to only those companies that are licensed with and regulated by the Kentucky Department of Insurance and defines the term affiliate in the in-home sales statute in similar fashion to other areas in KRS and the insurance code. The Kentucky Attorney General's office has had significant input on the language in the substitute that has helped more narrowly define the types of services and companies that are exempt from the in-home sales statute by virtue of being regulated by the Department of Insurance.
I've got a motion on the sub from Representative Pollock, a second, Representative Lockett. All in favor? Any questions on the sub? All in favor of adopting the sub, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The sub's before us.
All right, well, let me give you a real-life example of what the reason why we need House Bill 470. So if a consumer purchases an insurance service product on their phone and then contacts a company to come to their home to service the phone if the phone were to break, the tech service member that comes to the home and services the phone notices that the consumer has other products that his company can offer services and insurance products like a smart TV or smart home appliance or even an additional phone. Current statute would prohibit that tech member from offering or providing those additional services and products to the consumer. Under current law, even if the customer requests a product or additional service, the tech would have to require the customer to contact either their office or a helpline to set up additional appointments for the customer to purchase what could easily be transacted while the tech member is in the customer's home. So, House Bill 470 eliminates the unintended loophole in the in-home sales statute that was last updated in 1974. This bill would simply allow someone who is in a home providing service on an insurance product or service contract to offer additional service products or goods to the customer in the home, provided that the company they represent is already licensed by the Department of Insurance. This bill eliminates unnecessary barriers to do business in the Commonwealth. Are there any questions?
We do have some questions. We'll start with Representative Fraser Gordon.
Thank you. And so as I understand the bill, would it matter who initiates the different or the next product that they wish to be consulted on? Like, I don't want the home turned into a shopping center, you know, so is it going, oh, I see you have this, let's talk about this. Or is it the consumer that says, hey, while you're here, do you provide this coverage also? Does it matter which party initiates the conversation?
I'll take that if you will, Representative. It is silent on that, and the reason is this: the in-home sales statute was, originally intended to stop snake oil salesmen calls randomly knocking on your door. It never sort of thought about how somebody could be in your house already servicing a product or an insurance contract that could additionally sell more services. So I think the example that Representative Duvall gave is sort of very pertinent to what the intent of this bill is. A lot of times, and I've had this myself, where I've had a smart TV break or a home appliance break, somebody comes out to fix that product. Even if I request additional services, me as the buyer, they would not be able to do that. But the bill itself does not sort of delineate between who initiates that contact when it comes to who asks.
follow up.
Representative Stevenson?
No.
Thank you,
You got
Mr.
another?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm not seeing necessarily language here that prohibits like direct initial solicitation.
Right. So, I guess your question is, could a company like AT&T or Shurian just knock on your door? Right. No, this only applies if the person is already in the home servicing a contract. So there's no intention or even in the bill so that they could just start selling products at the home already. They have to be invited in there by the customer.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Fraser Gordon, you got to follow up.
I was just going to ask, so would the additional coverage be for that same product or for a different product, maybe by the same brand?
It could be the same product, or it could be other additional products that relate to service contracts or goods related to that. So I think the best example is, say you have a service contract on a phone, your phone breaks, but you don't have a case for your phone, or you want to buy a charger or something related to that. It has to be related to the actual service contract good. It can't just be some other random thing that isn't already in that contract.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Smith?
Yeah, real quick, I can't find an exemption for Girl Scout cookies. Are they safe?
Well, currently, if it's under $25, there's an exemption. So I guess it all depends, Representative, how many Girl Scout cookies you're buying.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from members of committee right now?
Motion on the bill.
We've got a motion from Representative Pollock, second from Representative Lockett. I do have somebody signed up to speak against the bill. Ben Carter, if you would come up, introduce yourselves for the record, who you're with, and you can proceed with your comments.
Thank you, Representative Meredith. My name is Ben Carter. I'm senior counsel for.
Have you got your mic on?
Senior counsel. I don't know.
There you go.
I can hold it. There we go. I'm senior counsel for a nonprofit law firm in Kentucky called the Kentucky Equal Justice Center. I've been a consumer protection attorney for 18 years of practicing law. We're opposed to this bill, House Bill 470, because it would carve out a significant exemption from home solicitation sales protections for Kentuckians. Now, what are home solicitation sales protections? This doesn't prevent people from going door to door and peddling snake oil or service contracts or anything like that. All it does, all these protections are, is it gives Kentuckians a cooling off period to say, now that this person is not on my doorstep, in my home, I've thought about it, and I actually don't want that service contract. I actually don't want that phone case or whatever Girl Scout cookies. I don't know if you bought more than $25 of Girl Scout cookies, which is very easy to do, right? It doesn't prevent those kinds of sales. There's no barrier to people peddling their wares in Kentucky for home at door to door. It simply gives Kentuckians a chance to rescind that sale. So why do we give Kentuckians a chance to rescind a home solicitation sale? Because we know as a group that we are a hospitable people, and that having someone in your home is an inherently coercive environment in which to have to decide whether or not to buy something from someone. And so we protect Kentuckians by giving them a cooling off period. I haven't heard any reason why we should carve out an exemption for these warranties or extended service contracts or phone cases that are sold while somebody is in the home. They can still peddle those wares, but we need to retain the ability for Kentuckians to say, you know what, I've looked at this and I've read the fine print on the back of this contract. It's going to be a lot more expensive than what I thought it was, and I actually don't think that's not what's in the best interest for me and my family, right? And so we've heard that these companies are regulated by the Department of Insurance. Well, just because they're regulated by the Department of Insurance doesn't mean the legislature doesn't have a role here. Anybody practicing law ever sued or protected somebody using the Unfair Claim Settlement Practices Act? That's a law that you all passed that protects Kentuckians from bad faith insurance companies withholding money, withholding damages, withholding necessary compensation after a disaster. We regulate that. using a statute, even though those companies are also regulated by the insurance companies, by the Department of Insurance, excuse me. So really, what you all are presented with is an opportunity here to either prevent the harm in the first place by voting no on House Bill 470 and giving Kentuckians that cooling off period, or expecting an agency to come in on the back end and regulate or try to mitigate that harm after the harm has already been done. And so whenever we're talking about consumer protections, I would be remiss not to say that consumer protections don't just protect Kentuckians who might be subject to high pressure sales tactics in the home, right? They also protect the good actors. If someone is selling a good product for a good price, that's a good value for a Kentuckian, guess what? Even if it's done in the home solicitation sales context, that Kentuckian is not going to exercise their right to rescind that contract. They're happy with the product. They thought about it in the clear light of the next day, and they said, no, this is a good value for me and my family. It's going to prevent me from having unexpected budgetary problems by needing to buy a new phone or whatever it might be. So I'll wrap my comments up, Representative Meredith, with just saying consumer protections make sure that the good actors who are selling good products to Kentuckians have a fair playing field and aren't competing against companies that can only make a sale in the high pressure environment of a home sale. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. I do just want to clarify one thing. Nobody on this committee has ever sued anybody because we have the best committee in the General Assembly and we don't have any attorneys on it.
Oh, amazing.
I would like to clarify that all such sales are further regulated, both federal law under the FTC's cooling off rule as well as the Kentucky's Consumer Protection Act.
Representative McPherson, you had a question.
And more of a comment than a question. I do appreciate the gentleman coming up and saying that, we need a cooling off period, and there's times when people sell you stuff that you may not want to buy or you coerce you into selling. But when you invite somebody into your home, I think we're, to not allow this to go forward kind of does more harm than damage. Just like us time is money these days, and say that I hustle home on a Friday afternoon to get somebody to come to my house to fix a product, and I realize I have 2 or 3 other things that I want to fix. I don't want to have to hustle back the next Friday to do it again. I don't want to preclude. I don't want to take away the right of having somebody come in my home and do what I ask them to do because of some law that says, well, I can't do it twice if I'm here. So I appreciate the spirit of protection, but at the same time, I don't want to hamper the decision making of me when I invite somebody in my home to do what I want done while I'm there. Thank you.
Representative Hall.
Did you run this language past the Department of Insurance?
We spoke with the Attorney General's office and clarified a lot of the language that's in here.
Yeah, that's a great question. This doesn't really affect what the department does at all, other than it basically says that if you're registered with the department, which a lot of these companies already are, it doesn't change any operations or anything else that the Department of Insurance does. It doesn't change what the definition of insurance is. So to answer your question bluntly, Representative, we did not, but we did have substantial conversations with the Attorney General's Office of Consumer Protection, and they had a very large hand in sort of crafting the sub to sort of narrowly define what the exemptions would be.
Any other questions from members of the committee? We do have a motion and a second on the bill. Seeing no other questions, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative All.
I'm going to pass right now. I want to reach out to the Department of Insurance and understand their perspective on the language and make sure that they agree with what we're doing here.
Representative Bentley. No, ma'am. Representative Bray. Representative Duval.
Yes.
Representative Fraser Gordon.
I'm going to pass at the moment. I want to learn more. Thank you.
Representative Gooch. Representative Justice. Representative Lewis.
It's a bad bill. No.
Representative Lockett.
No.
Representative McPherson.
Since my comments, I guess I'll be the lone yes right here.
Representative Pollock.
No.
Representative Rorks.
pass, and I was when I briefly explain my vote. I also need to do a little bit more research on the subject. I have a neighborhood association that had reached out to me in my district that is looking for ways to increase enforcement upon their no solicitation and how to get that in their area. So I need to just do a little bit more research. Thank you.
Representative Roberts, Representative Rudy, Representative Smith,
No.
Representative Stevenson,
No.
Meredith.
No. Would anybody like to change or explain their vote?
Mr. Chairman, after consideration, I believe I'll be a yes.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to change mine to a yes as well.
Mr. Chairman.
Representative Bentley. Representative Lewis.
Mr. Chairman, since everybody else is, I guess I'll get on board. I'm a yes.
Representative Pollock.
Yes.
Will of the committee,
Mr.
I'll
Chairman.
change mine to a yes as well. Representative Gooch.
I've kind of had a change of heart about this bill, and I'm going to vote yes as well.
Representative Fraser Gordon.
Peer pressure got to me. I believe I'll vote yes too.
Everybody else is a pass.
We hadn't recorded the bill sponsors vote. We do have 9 yes votes, and the bill does pass with favorable expression. Same shit on the House floor.
Thank you so much for that. I really appreciated it.
This time I will turn the chair over to Representative Lockett. He can call the next bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hopefully this next one is a little simpler than that one. Do call House Bill 726. If you proceed to the table, Representative Meredith, and any guests that you may have. You may proceed.
Let me get everybody up here, Mr. Chairman. I am Representative Michael Meredith, representing the 19th House District, Edmonson County and Warren County.
Tim Shank, Kentucky Bankers Association.
Hi, I'm Marnie Gibson. I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Financial Institutions.
I'm Gary Brody, Chair of the Executive Director of the Bluegrass Community Bankers Association.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I know this is a long bill. I try not to do long bills most of the time. However, this is something we have discussed in the interim, and we were continuing to work on and try to complete. We were able to complete this the end of last week and over the weekend so we could get it filed on Monday. As I mentioned in the interim, we had done the last comprehensive update to our banking laws and trust laws in Kentucky in the 1960s. There had been minor updates done again in the 1990s. And so we are here to do the first real comprehensive update to those statutes in close to 60 years. And that's what the bill before you is. It's a representation of that. The bill really is a modernization and an update. There are some substantial provisions, but a lot of it is just cleanup, frankly. We're making technical amendments to existing banking laws to update and correct outdated language and references, consolidate like provisions, eliminate inconsistencies, and reorganize for regulatory and structural clarity. We do update the Financial Institutions Board a little bit. We add one additional member from regulated industries to that, and we make the commissioner not a voting member anymore. This is a board that advises the commissioner. We couldn't really figure out why the advisory board for the commissioner had the commissioner as a voting member of it. So we update that. We eliminated outdated banking code provisions, including mandatory bank holidays, criminal penalties, and the following inactive charters and licenses, and those are state charter savings and loan associations, industrial loan corporations, and title pledge lenders. We repeal preempted and outdated or inactive statutes that were there, things where our relationship with the federal government has changed over the years, because we do have a federal and state regulatory structure that affects all of our state chartered banks. And so as things have changed at the federal level, some of the relationship between how things are regulated here and how they're regulated at the federal level have changed. We update those. We modernize requirements relating to bank investments, the authority of in-state trust companies to do business outside of Kentucky and out-of-state trust companies to do business in Kentucky, and have updated things dealing with national bank to state bank conversions, bank dividends, and interstate merger transactions. And we update requirements relating to the state bank change of control notifications, removal of bank employees from office, and the designation of a receivership court for an insolvent bank. We do have at the table the regulators and both of the banking associations in Kentucky today. And this is a collaborative product between all of us to update this statute comprehensively. I will let them make comments if they please.
Motion on the bill.
We have a motion and a second. Would you like to proceed with any comments from your guests?
When I have a motion and a second, I like to be quiet.
Very good.
I'll answer any questions, but otherwise.
Do we have any questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative All.
Aye.
Representative Bentley. Representative Bray. Representative Duval.
Yes.
Representative Fraser Gordon. Representative Gooch. Representative Justice. Representative Lewis.
Yes.
Representative Lockett.
Yes.
Representative McPherson.
Yes.
Representative Pollock.
Yes.
Representative Rorix.
Yes.
Representative Roberts. Representative Rudy. Representative Smith. Representative Stevenson. Chairman Meredith.
Yes.
The motion passes with all yes votes. Same shit on the House floor. Congratulations. We are adjourned.